What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with another Pound for Pound ATL Live. Joined as always by my co-host Jonathan Holder. Jonathan, what's going on, brother?
Man, it's a beautiful Tuesday. Could have been better, but yeah, it's a glorious Tuesday, and I'm excited to talk about the Falcons, even in a loss.
There you go. Boy, I mean, chat's even like normally we have at least something by now. Everybody is, man, come on, folks, wake up. All as I said, all is not lost. Yes. We lost to the Saints. Yes, that's exactly what transpired. All right, at least we got Xavier up in here with some red and black. That's right. Um, yeah, dude, that was a bad half of football that
Yeah,
compounded to where you couldn't, like, it became insurmountable, obviously, because we lost. Um, and that's sad. That sucks. You know.
yeah. Well, and
Um,
the offense just couldn't get in a groove. Couldn't do the things that we've been coming to expect from them recently. And it just didn't work as expected on the offensive side. Defensive side gave up too many big plays early in the game. Um, they made some just like, and now I'll say this: the defense, as we've come to expect, while again didn't have any sacks in the game that I can remember.
no, there were no.
Uh,
Again, once again, we got. I think for the fourth time this season, we're held sackless.
we got some pressure, but we couldn't bring them down. Um, and we let guys get behind us early in the game. Second half of the game, held them to 3 points.
Right.
Pretty much shut their offense down. And if you told me, if you told me like, hey, we gave up 17 in the first, gave up 3 in the second against the Saints, I'd say our chances for winning would be really, really good. And if Koo doesn't have the worst game of his career, probably, then we're probably looking at a win here. So, like at the end of the day, it was a loss. It's a divisional game. Those are always weird and hinky. And again, I've said it before on this show. I've said it to you. I've said it to a lot of other people before. You know, the Patriots in their heyday, when they were the best team, bar none, in the NFL, would lose to the lowly Dolphins. Like
Yeah.
it seemed like every year, or at least most years, they were 1-1 with the Dolphins.
Yep.
They would lose one of those games to the Dolphins. Sometimes they would go and sweep the division. They would go and do that. But at the end of the day, they would still have those losses, those inexplicable, like, how the hell did that happen loss.
I mean, look, you had like the miracle in Miami, a couple years. Like you have
Yep.
names for these kind of things because it's just weird and unexplained, and that's like the thought process. And I guess got to do everything right because
Well,
getting
and
getting
then
out of source here.
yeah,
Uh,
and well, yeah, and then we run into a team that just fired their head coach,
right, which is
who was their defensive play caller, who that's who we were used to calling plays, and his tendencies and all this other stuff. So now the offense has got to try to adapt to a different play caller who has different tendencies, who we're not familiar with. So you put all that together into this
and you have a
stew
yeah,
of
you
division
have
game.
that's something that I kind of joked about, or not even joked about. I mean, I brought it up. I made the comment, man. Why couldn't they wait until after this week to fire their coach?
Yep.
Because like teams in the past decade have outperformed what they were like against the spread and against like the just like analyst picks or whatever have outperformed their spot. Like I think it's 16 to 14 or something like that in the past decade when they have fired their coach. They've done well, at least the game following, because it is a gut check. It is a wake up call to the rest of the team. And also like something that fans in general have to keep in mind. This is the pros. Every person on that team is a professional. And it is really hard to go undefeated in this league. Hence why we still talk about the Miami Dolphins, that what the 72 Dolphins, I think it is, or the Dolphins that went completely undefeated and won the Super Bowl. We still talk about them. We still talk about, you know, the Patriots who ended up losing the Super Bowl, but they went undefeated, because it's such a hard thing to do. That's why it was such a big deal years ago when we beat the Panthers, who were heading to the Super Bowl, and we gave them their only loss. Like, it's really hard to, and on the flip side of that coin, it's really hard to go defeated. Hence why we still talk about the Lions 0-16 season, because it's hard to do. Because these are professionals who do get paid tons of money, and not just that, it's a team full of alpha males who don't want to lose. So you add that to freshly fired head coach and your division rival coming into town, newfound swag, the whole come into your trap, take over your trap. Like, all this was a perfect storm of, the Falcons. I felt like the Falcons not were going to lose, but it wasn't going to surprise me, if that makes any sense. Obviously, I wanted them to win, but it didn't surprise me that they didn't. But again, you were the better team on the field. You showed it by pretty much every metric you want to look at.
Yep.
The only problem is Koo missed 3 kicks. He has one of them blocked. So let's give him that, right? Let's give him the blocked kick. He makes the other 2. You win the game.
And like
You
one of those for sure was like a super makeable. Like, I think it might have even been sub 40-yard.
It was like, I think a 43-yarder, I think is what it was.
Something. It was very, very near 40 yards, whatever it was, and it just wasn't. It wasn't a hard kick. It was a kick that over the years. Now, when over the years, if it's past 50, then it's kind of like, he's been better more times than not. He's been able to make those, but that's where, if you're going to get those misses, that's where you get them. If you go to in the past, like anything under 50 was like money.
Yeah.
And so to get the misses on those kicks, especially anything past 50, I don't care what kicker you got. I don't care. That's always, to me, that's always like a coin flip if you're going to make it or not. The NFL kickers have been so good in the past decade easily that we take it for granted. But anything over 50 yards is a really hard kick to make on a consistent basis. So anything past 50, I'm praying. I don't care who it is. But anything under 50 should be the most consistent kick, and should be almost like, unless they block it, that should be something that we're able to make almost every time.
Agreed. Like, when he came out for that 40 something, I was like, all right, we should be good here. And that would have, I think, tied us up at that point. And then, anything's possible, what have you. And then he misses that one, and I was like, okay, it just ain't our day. And unfortunately, that's going to happen, right? Because there's a part of me, like, okay, so Gabriel's making some good points here. He says offense and defense started bad, but they started playing good. It's just hard to win games when your kicker misses 3 field goals. He said, I just saw that they blitzed 48% of the game and only got 2 pressures, our D line, which has been a problem all year. And which is extremely frustrating that, okay, now you're blitzing and you're not able to get home. So if you're blitzing and you're not able to get home and you can do that consistently, that means teams are going to start looking for the stuff behind it, so to speak.
Yeah.
They're going to start trying to look to dissect it and look to make you pay for not getting home, which is why obviously defensive coordinators would rather not have to blitz. So I don't know if it's a Jay Rogers problem. I don't know what the somebody maybe needs to go back to the tape of last year and study the blitz packages or D-line play packages that they ran with Ryan Nielsen. Not saying that we had a ton of sacks last year, but I mean, we're halfway through the season and we have 9 sacks on the season.
Yep.
And that's unacceptable. That's ridiculous in every facet of the word, especially when you're giving up draft capital to go get a guy like Matthew Judon, and you spent, draft capital on, guys like, now granted, obviously Trice got hurt. I think, didn't Root get hurt? Like, isn't he on IR?
I think he went to IR.
So, but even in that situation, Brandon Dorless is still not cracking the roster. Obviously, we're not seeing what's going on in practice. So I can't sit here and, say that's a bad decision. I just, I guess he's just not developing at the pace they want him to currently. But D'Angelo Malone, his 8 snaps looked lost. So that dream is dead for anybody who thinks that Malone was going to be the answer. So, like, yeah, we'll King says, I don't even know what to say right now. Give me 10 minutes. Okay, guys. Hey, we're gonna try to make it an hour, King. So you got time. You got time.
But now, luckily, after the game, like I had plans with the wife. We celebrated our 7th wedding anniversary Sunday night.
There you go.
Went out to Ruth's Chris, and oh boy,
where was my invite?
Man, you're paying for yourself, man. Holy jeez,
big money hustler over there going to Ruth's Chris.
Man, I'll say this: like, the steak was really good. I still think Ray's on the River is still the best steak I've ever had in my life. Like that I didn't cook myself, like, very specifically
right
my taste or whatever. Like, going out to a restaurant, Ray's on the River, best steak that I've personally ever had.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to go there because this ain't the first time you've brought up Ray's on the River. So I got an anniversary coming. Yeah, exactly. Congratulations on, you said what, 7 years?
7-year wedding anniversary. It was actually Monday. So it was yesterday, but because it was Monday, we went out there on Sunday night. And yeah, it was really, really good. It just,
there you go,
took a toll on my wallet.
Well, yeah, I mean, a place like that tends to. But yeah, I'll be, the end of this month will be 15 years for me and my bride. So we went to couldn't really control the date on it, but we went to a concert at the end of last month. No, it was the end of September. It was the end of September. We went to a concert to celebrate ours, but probably have to take her out anyway because, I mean, come on, you got to.
You got to do something at least, right? Even if all it is you get her a card and some flowers, whatever it is, you got to do something.
Got to do something. All right.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
Real hard way one time.
Got to do something.
I figured, hey, we celebrated it the weekend before. We're done, right? Nope.
Falcon Vic, where have you been at? Toby hasn't been here in like a while, like a long while.
Yeah.
Like almost a calendar year, if not over that. Okay, let me catch you up. Toby went off to, like, he was done, basically. He didn't go do anything else. It's not like he wouldn't.
He did have a little show for a little while.
A little while, but yeah. he lost, interest in that, so to speak. And so, yeah, no, Toby is doing good. I saw him a couple weeks ago. I took him lunch. So Toby's doing good. All right, let's see. All right, let's get into Ballers and Fallers. And before we get into Ballers and Fallers, 15 minutes in the show, I'm going to play the intro because I'm cool like that.
Yeah, you are.
King's over here saying, dang, 15, I'm trying to make it 3. You just got to find the right one, King. That's all there is to it. Exactly. You find the right one, and then 15 ain't nothing.
Yeah.
I hear people talking about like 60 and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I could see it because I wouldn't trade mine for nothing. You couldn't pay me. for mine. Like there ain't no. I've told her on many occasions, many occasions. I said that if she ever decides to walk away or leave me, or God forbid pass away, I'm done. I ain't doing it again. It's it. That's
Yeah.
it. That one out there, there ain't another one like her. And I'm too spoiled in that aspect. Oh, Brian's going way deep. Brian, Falcon Nation fan, is asking what happened to Jimmy Obama and Mike Dub. Dude, that was 3 seasons ago, 4 seasons ago now. All right, so Jimmy Obama obviously had some stuff pop up in his own personal life, which caused him to have to step away. And Mike Dub was climbing the corporate ladder and no longer had the time. So last time I
It
heard, he was
happens.
probably like second or third in charge in the company he was working for and living that high life.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Mr. Talented Mr. Ripley says, "Shit, I'm still looking for my wife. She's out there in the world somewhere." That is. Keep
Yep.
looking. Don't stop.
She's out there.
That's right.
Just make sure that when she shows up, you recognize her.
That's the hard thing. That like
Mhm.
ain't trying to get like too off track. Maybe this is just a product of not a fun game to talk about. But it is the like finding the right one is it is such a fun thing to try to do. And what I mean by that is uh like it's more about a reflection of yourself than it is about what you're looking for, in my opinion. It is what are you willing to deal with in your life? And that comes from both sides, woman side, man side, whatever. Because ain't nobody perfect. And if you're looking for perfection, if you're even looking for like one notch below perfection, you are going to be disappointed. So, all right, enough of that. You didn't come here to listen about no dating advice or marriage advice or what have you, which you came
Come
here
on.
for.
They came here for the relationship advice. Come on
I came here for okay. So what you came here for? I ain't even got this thing even set up right, so this is gonna be real good.
now.
You came here for ballers and fathers. That's what everybody
Yes, you
came
did.
here for. Nick even said it. He says, "Baller Bijan, faller coup," and somehow he must have like saw what I was doing because my baller was Bijan. I sat there and thought about it. I was like, all right, like how can honestly, how could I really give it to anybody else? Like Kurt played an okay game. Like statistically, he played a good game. He
Yeah.
had the interception, and then
He ended up with good stats.
right, right.
You know,
Like
but
if
if
you're
we're
just looking at the box score,
yeah, but we're talking 23 of 38.
right,
So, somewhere hovering ish around 55%. I mean, I think he misses like first 5 passes. It was crazy.
right. So I mean, he had a rough half. Tried to make up for it at the end of the second, beginning of the third, but yeah. But Mr. Consistency, at least for the past few games, has been Bijan Robinson. He finally like busted a really nice touchdown run.
Yeah, he did.
That was like I think it was like 34, 35 yards.
Hey,
Uh,
he drug Tyrann Matthew
yeah,
like the last 4 or 5 yards into the end
right.
zone.
He's like it was one of those deals where like he would not be denied. He scored our only 2 touchdowns of the
Yeah.
game. So like Bijan was definitely our our baller for sure. I've been happy and like pleasantly surprised with his development. There's always that worry that when you're bringing in a new coaching staff with a new coaching philosophy that you could like get some like stunted growth kind of deal. Um, especially like at the beginning of the season when you really got just like, oh man, Bijan's only running outside zone runs,
Yeah.
and they're only using Tyler in inside zone. Uh, they've started to switch that stuff up, and Bijan is definitely settling into his role in this offense.
Mhm.
So, anything you want to add there?
No, I mean, not really. He's just been, the bright spot. Him, Drake London was really good. Mooney was good. They both nearly had 100 yards.
Yeah.
Tyler was, it seemed like early on, his first few runs kind of got stuffed, and then he seemed to find the creases because he ended up with like almost 60 yards, 5.3 a carry. Like the offense, the offense for the most part did its job. Again, if we're talking how this game, if this exact same game happened with last year's coup, and everything else happened exactly the same, we win this game
Right.
because he makes
Like,
those two kicks that he missed. The one that gets blocked, you just give it to them, and we win this game. And we'll talk about, oh man, we didn't play our
we
best
escaped out of New
ball. We
Orleans
started off really
sweeping.
rough. We escaped out of. Yep, that's what we're
Not
talking about, and we're talking about all the things that went wrong. But it's like, but we still won, so it's awesome to talk about those things when we win.
right. Yeah, 100%. And that's the reason why I'm not like totally devastated in a sense, because I do feel like there's aspects of this that are okay. If this, if Coup don't miss, then we're talking about, this could come back to bite us, so to speak. But the Bucks lost, so you're still 2 games up in the division. So
And
in that
technically,
aspect,
technically 3 games because we swept them.
right? So I mean, you didn't lose any ground as long
Yep.
as you like don't fall off a cliff. You're still in control of what you need to be in control of.
So my understanding is uh if we play prior to this past weekend's game, prior to the Saints game, if we went the rest of the season and went 4-4,
Mm-hmm.
uh the Bucks would have to go 7-1 to beat us.
Right.
If we go 4-4, the Saints can't catch us.
Right.
If we go 4-4, like, so basically, if we go 4-4, as long as the Bucks don't go 7-1, and they've already got a loss
So
now,
now they would
they
have
so
to be perfect the rest of the way.
now they have to go 7-0, and we have to go 3-4 the rest of the way. And if that happens, then we lose the division. If we go 4-3 the rest of the way, which I hope we go more like 5-2 or 6-1, but
Right.
if we go 4-3 through the remaining 7 games of the season, then um then we win the division.
Right. Exactly. All right. So Fowler, obviously, like I could not give it to Coop. I
Yep.
mean, you don't necessarily hang, like, even Kurt himself said when he was asked about it. Kurt said, "Look, you got to score touchdowns in this league." So yes, I could hang it on the fact that we couldn't cash those in for touchdowns. You cash one of those in for touchdowns
Yep.
instead of having to settle for a field goal. Again, you win the game, but your offense got you in position to succeed, or to get points, and to you weren't able to cash those in.
Yep.
And unfortunately for Koo, this week it was because of his foot.
Yep.
So, do I think Koo could bounce back? Yes, I think Koo could bounce back. Now, King does have an interesting point. He says, I think we move on from Koo. By stats, he's declined from year to year. The last he's going down. I don't know. I thought he had like a really good year last year. Just statistically, he was probably I think he was the best kicker in the league last year, if I'm not mistaken. But I saw a thing where from 2019 to 2023, he missed 17 field goals in 4 years. And so, like, that's because I'm bad at quick math in my head, not my strong suit. 17 divided by 4, that's 4 misses a year. That's 4.25 misses a year. He's already at 7 misses this year, and we're halfway through the season. So, um, yeah, I think that. Do I think Koo could bounce back? Yeah, by all means, I think Koo could bounce back. Um, but he's like everything else; he's got to figure it out. Um, Gabriel says you can't even say the edge rushers were fallers because they were never very good. No, yeah, no, like
they were at expectations.
that's right, that's right. Like you can't expect nothing from nothing. You know what I'm saying? Or
So
something
okay,
from nothing.
so if we look at his career with the Falcons, he came
Yeah,
in with the Falcons the first year with us 2019, 88.5% made field goals. 2020 94 say 95%. 2021 93.1, 2022 86.5, 2023 86.5. And so then this year's at 70.8% right now, which is not
yeah,
good.
that's a big drop off. Like he
But
like
I
now
would
granted,
say anything 85, and I want to say like the league average is something like 85%.
right. So if he can get around, like if Millie, like Millie says, Koo F around and be perfect the rest of the rest of the season. Koo always, does this once a year. Like he has a game every now and again where he just, is like misses. And so we'll see if he messes around and is perfect for the rest of the season. He's won us more games than he's lost us at this point.
Yep.
So I'm not ready to throw out, the Koo with the bathwater. So, but for this week, he is the faller. And
So
and
the
for him,
thing, and we're looking at this year, the thing that's killed him or that killed us with him is 40 to 49 yards.
Mhm.
So if we look at 50 to 59, okay, those are the hardest kicks to make. He's been better than 50%, 5 of 8. Um, if we look at 40 to 49, that's where it's been kind of like, man, it's really disappointing because it's 3 of 6. So he's at 50% for those kicks, 5 of 6 for 30 to 39, and then 4 of 4 inside of 30 yards.
Right.
So like it's been the not the coin toss kicks. It's been the 40 to 49, which is generally speaking, he's been really, really good there. If we look at the last few years, he's like 9 of 11, 9 of 10, 6 of 7, 8 of 9, 7 of 9, which was 2019, his first year. That was his worst year. Uh, well, if we look at his very first year with the Chargers, he was 1 for 4 in that range, and that's what probably got him canned
Oh
from the
yeah.
Chargers. So
Um, his longest was the 56 yarder, wasn't it? Or well, no, it was like
it was
53.
58, I think. Let's see.
Yeah. It was something stupid. And that was like for any of y'all who've like followed Trayshawn on Twitter, like he has an affinity for like special teams play and stuff like that. And that's what he was talking about with like Koo's kick. Yes, he's changed his approach, but and his style, so to speak, his style has allowed him to get the length. It's just they are like his style now is more dead on line. Like there's not a ton of movement. So like if he doesn't, kick it perfectly, so to speak, then it's like there's not a lot of travel in
Yeah.
his kick. So anyway, if y'all are interested in that, I highly suggest y'all look
It
him
was
up.
it was actually a 58 yarder game winner against the Saints.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Yep.
Um oh, somebody says watching from behind. He says congrats on the anniversaries. I got 15 next month. Very nice. Very nice.
Congratulations, man.
Oh, hey, but we are going to go to the Super Bowl now because we have signed Lamar Jackson. Everybody can calm down. After this so I wish people would have like tagged Mike Florio in that because we signed the defensive back Lamar Jackson to the practice squad
Yeah.
along with wide receiver uh, um Grant, Jakeem Grant, I think is his name. Um,
I think so, yeah.
so another like speedy guy, maybe possibly looking for some help in the return game. So, um, yeah, but that was kind of funny. That was comical. Uh, King says, well, he needs to go back to his old style talking about coup. Maybe he does.
I mean, like
Uh,
he's apparently he's this has been something he's been like messing around with for like the past 2 years.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's not
Um,
like new.
yeah, no. So
Um,
so like he was messing around with this last year. Um, you know, and he was generally fine last year.
right.
And he's been good for us this year. Like again, you look at back at that first Saints game. Without him, we don't win that game.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So,
So
all right. So let's take a look at what we got coming up next. Obviously, that is the Denver Broncos, uh, which is our now. They're 5-5. We're 6-4. They came within a missed field goal, or a blocked field goal of beating the Chiefs.
mhm,
Now you can say, "Oh crap, man! They held the Chiefs to, let's see, da, 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 da. Chiefs. There it is, 16-14, right?
mhm.
And they only gave up field goals in the second half, as you can see. So you can look at that as, oh Lord, that was the best team, in the division. But the Chiefs have kind of been shaky this year, especially on offense. So
Yeah.
they have just been finding ways to win, which is what good teams do. Again,
Mhm.
that's what we were talking about earlier. 9-0, that's hard to accomplish, even at this point in the season. So,
Well, that and you're again you're going against a division foe, right?
right.
So
Yep.
that kind of craziness, that kind of wonkiness, that will you know it will make games like this closer or more crazy than they probably should be. When you look at them on paper, because when you look at it on paper, like there's no reason why they should even hang with the Chiefs. There's no reason why any team right now should really be hanging with the Chiefs, but the Chiefs, like they are severely leaning on their defense.
Oh, big time.
That
Like,
defense, if it wasn't as good as it is, they'd be in a lot of trouble.
I mean,
But
because you look, like straight up right here, you look at 243 passing yards from Patrick Mahomes,
mhm,
especially when they just traded for DeAndre Hopkins. Um, like, granted, they didn't have any turnovers, but they were forced into 4 punts and got sacked 4 times. So that's my biggest concern is that Denver's defense ain't no joke.
no,
Um, and Vance Joseph has been getting like really good. I mean, other than like they gave up 41, but um, they've been kind of up and down as far as their like successes and what they've been able to give up. Sean Payton, of course, drubbed his old team, but I don't know. This is a game where you got a first year QB in Bo Nix. I'm surprised. I've been kind of waiting on our buddy Chris to pop in. I haven't seen him. He must be busy tonight. But you got a first year QB, and you hope that they can keep him in the pocket because he's like you were talking about in the um, before we came on is Bo Nix does his best on the move when he's not necessarily having to read the entire field.
yep,
When he gets on the move, it simplifies the offense because there's only a half a field you're going to deal with.
mhm,
Um, so I really hope that we can fool him with our disguises in the secondary because I think that's one way we can come away with this. I'm trying to see. Let's see players.
well,
Go ahead.
if you look at, and I'd be interested to look at like their schedule, like when they've won, they've gone up against guys like the Derek Carrs of the world and things like that. That's been when their defense has looked really, really good. When they've gone up against the Justin Herberts, the Patrick Mahomes, although they did look good against Mahomes, but when they've gone against like good quarterbacks who can process and see what their defense is trying to do, uh, in a quicker fashion, then that allows them to be able to pick apart that defense a little bit. Um, and yeah, it's my hope is that you know the offensive line keeps doing what it's doing.
Mhm.
Now I will say that it looks like I saw something today. Like Kirk Cousins, I think, is the third most hit. They don't give up a ton of sacks, but he's the third most hit quarterback in the like third, fourth, fifth, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, he's in the top
Uh,
10 as far as, like, quarterbacks who
the,
are hit.
and if I had to give one real like um, negative, it's really the only negative I have for Kirk Cousins is that dude needs to hold on to that ball way better.
Yeah,
Way
yeah.
better. So I think he
Um,
had 2 fumbles in this game. Um,
I know he had
and
one for sure,
yeah.
and,
Well, I know he had the one that knocked us, at the very end of the game. Like, you've got to hold on to that ball, especially at that moment.
oh,
You
yeah.
have got to hold on because like the problem was is when you go and watch that play, it's one thing if they hit your arm when you're like in the throwing motion. I'm not, it is what it is. They made a play. This was you had the ball down here, guy hits your arm, never touched the ball, didn't
Right.
punch it out, didn't swipe and he actually hit the ball. He just like basically wrapped him up and then the ball just dropped, came out of his hand. And it's like those I need you to hold on to more often.
Yeah,
If
because
they come by and just knock it out your
swipe at
hand,
you, yeah.
okay, hey, that is what it is.
Because right now, across the league, the Denver Broncos have the 4th highest pressure rate, they're first in pressures, 3rd highest sack rate, and 2nd most sacks in the league. And they're also stingy against the pass, allowing under 200 yards per game. So, like, this defense presents a challenge, like, big time.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's the part that uh, that's the part that has me concerned about this game because when I initially looked at what we had left, in the schedule, the Denver Broncos were one of the ones that I was concerned about,
Mhm.
mainly because of their defense and they because of their defense and our lack of defense. When we've won, it's because we've been able to score, over 25 points. And so any game we have failed to score over, failed to get over 3 touchdowns, we've lost so far this season. So, uh, I needed to look and see how they were against the run. They held um Kent. We got a new dog. That joker, I don't know if you can hear it,
Yep.
but that joker is going nuts in the other room. So I apologize if any of y'all hear that. Like, he's a puppy and he is driving everybody else crazy.
Going
Driving me.
nuts.
Yeah, he's driving. He's high pitched, yappy little. Anyway,
Yep.
um,
Little shih tzu, isn't it?
yeah, that's another like now we have 2 of them, right? We got 2 Shih Tzus,
Yeah.
and he's in there driving my wife crazy. um, but no, we got obviously the Broncos next, then we go on a bye, and then you got the Chargers and the Vikings. Like, these aren't like great defenses to go up against. So
No.
you talk about having to go 4-4. I mean, I'm not trying to spell doom and gloom, but I could see a scenario where we come out of these next 4 games going, okay, well, we got to win the last 4.
Yeah.
um, maybe not so much as the Vikings, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, if we look at the Vikings, uh, there's the chance. We'll see what happens from here on out. But Darnold may be turning back into a pumpkin a bit.
Yes. Yeah, he's
Like he may be basically the modern day version of
just magic.
Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fitzmagic. Like
Good for about 5-6 games and then
yep. I saw.
uh
There were times where Fitzpatrick looked like he was gonna like. You go through the first 5 games of the season, you're like, dog, who is this guy? Like, I think you might have found a diamond in the rough kind of, and then it just falls off a cliff. So we'll see if Darnold can recapture something there.
Right.
But regardless of whatever they do, their defense is still really good. And yeah, so
So, yeah, like I said, this game, this Denver game worries me a bit as far as if it turns into a slog. Um,
yes,
if it turns into a slog, which this started back even in the Dallas game, was like there was parts of me that were worried, like, oh yeah, we dominated that game from beginning to end. Yes, but when you needed to close the game out on offense, you couldn't.
Mhm.
And that's the part that like kind of concerned me because it seemed to carry over into uh the game against the Saints. You got off to a slower start. So let's hope that it carries over into Denver. You finish that game okay on both sides of the ball. So let's hope it uh ooh, I hope that ain't right. Gabriel says I did see it gonna be like 30 degrees and raining. Oh, that doesn't that if that's the case, then that's gonna
not
turn
that's
into a
not.
nasty game then.
Yeah, it is what it is. But like, so far this season, we haven't had consecutive losses.
Right,
We've been able to, if we lose a game, we're able to stop that skid at one,
right,
and get back on the winning, get back into the win column. So, let's hope that they get back in there. They're more focused. Defense can come out and be more impactful early on,
right.
um, instead of being kind of a doormat early on and then kind of stiffen up later. I'd like to see them stiffen up for 4 quarters for once.
Yeah, because if given the chance, like Denver has a decent pair of running backs in Javonte Williams and Estime. I think I'm trying to remember Estime's first name. I can't. But so we're gonna. I mean, hopefully this. They seem to have been given uh Eddie Goldman more run this past week, and
He looked
imagine
good.
that. And imagine that they gave Eddie Goldman more run, and yes, we actually held the team under 96 yards rushing, so under 100 yards rushing. So, um,
When that didn't look like it was going to be the case. Again, we've seen this exact scenario play out before, where defense gives up a ton of yards, especially maybe on the ground, early on, and then whatever they say, whatever they do at halftime, they come out, and then now the running game kind of goes away for the other team. It just like it does. It's not nearly as impactful. We're making the right run fits. We're doing all the things that we need to do to stop the run, and I don't know why this can't be from the start. Why do we have to warm up and then make adjustments, or warm up and then kind of hunker down? Whatever you want to call it. I
well,
Start fast, guys. Come on.
I hate to say it like this. Um, we might like I know right now we want to point fingers at Jimmy Lake or what have you, but in my like study of Raheem, in the off season, like especially what he did out in LA, that was kind of the case out in LA too. Like Raheem would make an adjustment and do like whatever, and a lot of times the adjustment was like Michael Hoyt, and it was an adjustment of okay, I'm going to stop dropping him into coverage in my sim pressures, and I'm just going to send him at the quarterback. And so like you spend, part of me wonders how much of it is spent. Okay, I'm going to spend the first half reacting this way, so that in the second half, I can send different packages to then help confuse. Does that make sense? Like, because heck, if I'd done it for an eighth grade football team, I know there are people who do it. There's people who more than one person for a team is charting the game as it's going on.
Mhm.
And they're able to in real time give coaches, okay, on third down, when we came out in 11 personnel, they answered with this. They answered with this package and they ran this blitz. And they're able to give this stuff to them in real time. And so there's a part of me that wonders how much of it is, uh, okay, I'm doing this not on purpose, but okay, now it's time to flip the script so that when they do go back to this well of plays, because you run into, like, any good coach is going into a game plan with about 25 to 30 plays. I know you see this gigantic sheet, the Waffle House menu, you
Mhm.
know, but realistically, it's only about like this much of it. Yes, they got all this over there just in case they start seeing something crazy, but what they practice is a much smaller, because you just can't fit that much in your head.
Yeah.
And so once, like, it could easily be a thing of once Raheem sees, okay, this is kind of this is how they think they want to attack us. Now I can start playing off of what they, how they think we're going to react. That's the only thing I could think, because, like I said, you saw that in LA, that you, they would make adjustments, and I don't know how many games I watched where uh, the team would either not score or only score field goals in the second half.
Yeah.
So what
Well,
I'm
like I
getting at,
said,
that was a long-winded way of saying, uh, I don't know if they're going to be able to start fast.
well, and probably some of it comes down to you know, from time to time, it's like, hey, we're just gonna straight up, we're gonna do cover two, we're gonna do cover three, whatever it is, and we're going to play this whatever this defense is pretty much straight up, and we want our guys to beat their guy, right?
Right.
There's not going to be a twist. There's not going to be stunts. Sometimes you don't want to do those things in certain scenarios, right? And you don't want to do it too often because you don't want to use it too often,
Right.
right? You want to do it in key situations when it's
Meaningful,
most
impactful times.
impactful
Yep.
and all that stuff. So there are going to be times where you're like, just straight up, this is your guy. You've got to go beat that guy. And I think the biggest problem we have right now is we don't have enough guys on our defensive line that can go and just beat their guy. The one guy that could probably do it if we're talking one on ones consistently is probably Grady Jarrett. Like straight up beat a guy either really quickly or even to work through a good offensive guard or what have you, and eventually be able to get there. Like those, we don't have enough guys like him on that defensive line,
Nope.
unfortunately. So, but then you come to the second half and you got guys that now you're starting to like pull out the twists and the stunts and more things like that. So you can start to get a little bit more pressure. You're maybe not getting home, but you can force that quarterback to speed up his reads a little bit. Maybe have to get rid of it. Even if he stays in the pocket and he looks comfy, but he's still maybe having to get rid of that ball just a bit sooner than he wanted to. Maybe it doesn't affect it early on, but later on in the game, because you just kind of ratchet it up and maybe it speeds it along as that game goes along.
Right.
So it's I get it. Like you don't want to just say like we're going to send the most exotic stuff that we got down one. You don't necessarily want to do that, but we've got to do something to allow our guys to start faster. We,
Yeah, we got
or
to.
just straight up, our guys just need to beat their guys. They need to beat their one on ones.
Yeah, like I said, at this point in the season, I don't see the pass rush improving. I don't see them, magically just finding something that turns it on. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think at this junction we are what we are. I don't see them bringing back Judon. I don't think there's any reason to bring back Judon. Which hopefully somebody signs him so that we can get a decent compensatory pick out of it. Um, but yeah, that's something that they're going to have to, as much as they laser focused on the fixing the QB situation this past offseason, which they did with Cousins and Penix, they're going to have to figure out this D line. And if that means gutting it as far as like thanking Onyemata and letting him move on, much as I hate to say, even if it's a deal of like shaking Grady's hand and, what have you. Um, I think that they're going to have to do some major soul searching on that defensive line to figure out what they can do. Now, I will say somebody said something. I think it was King um, earlier talking about Pitts. Oh, trying to find it. Okay, here it is. He says, midseason, what's your guys' view on Pitts? I'm like, is he worth the money to keep him? I'm just like, blah. I think he's, because I pull this up because Nick also said, Pitts has been open. I think Pitts is playing well. I don't know if it's, I don't know if you expect him to be like Travis Kelce, but it took Travis Kelce a little while to be Travis Kelce. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think we revisit that closer to the end of the season, but I have liked what I have seen from him. And as far as worth the money, if he's asking for Travis Kelce money, no, not right now. Like, no, you haven't done anything to be worth Travis Kelce money.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, he had 4 catches for 55 yards. Like, could I have, could if he had caught a couple extra balls, would that have been nice? But he caught like a big pass for you on a big third down to keep you going on a touchdown drive. Like, he's done some good things. Uh, you know, we just haven't seen. And some of that's probably because he broke out there for like that 4 games that he started garnering more attention
right.
and things of that nature. So at the end of the day, I'm not worried too much about Pitts. I don't think, again, yeah, if you're like, hey, he's asking for Kelsey money, then I'm not down with that, and we'll just pick up his option and he'll play that 5th year, and then we'll go
That's
from
what I was
there.
trying to see. What I
But
was trying to see what David Njoku's contract he just signed. Okay, would you be willing to sign Kyle Pitts to a 4-year, $54 million contract? Now let's try to compare that to Kelsey, because I would just have to. I don't know, because right now you would think Travis Kelsey's what you think of when you want superstar tight end. Let's see. See, Travis Kelsey signed for 2 years, 34 million. So he was averaging 17 million a year. In 2020, he signed a 4-year extension or 57. So that would actually kind of be in Travis. I don't know. I don't know if I think Pitts is worth 50 something $1 million right now. Like you said, maybe let him play out that 5th-year option and see where he is in year 2 of Kirk Cousins, in year 2 of this system. Like if
yeah,
this system isn't asking a ton out of a wide receiver, out of a tight end, if this is what they're going to ask out of him, then maybe it's more like um, T.J. Hawkinson. What was
so if
his?
we look, so if we look at his rookie year, right? His rookie year, which we all would say is his best year. He played 17 games, all 17.
Yep.
He had 68 receptions,
Yep.
1,026 yards for a 15.1 average.
Bless
Excuse
you.
me. Sorry. Um, and then if we compare that to this year, he's only played in 10 games so far this year. He's got 34 receptions, so right at half. Um, and he's at 485 yards with a 14.3. So he's a little under a yard less than his rookie year average. It's the best average per reception since his rookie year,
See,
right?
I'd be
And he's tied for the same amount of touchdowns as he had last year through all of last year.
right. I think I'd be more inclined to give him like a Tyler Higbee deal, which is a 4-year, $30 million deal.
I mean, if he'll
Like
take it, I'd be happy with it.
that's what I'm saying. Like in that range, whatever, because he signed this a couple years back, obviously. So like whatever the modern, modern equivalent, because with the cap going up. So if it was like a 4-year, 40 million or 4-year, 45 million, I think I'd be okay with that, especially if he continues on the pace that he's continuing. Because yes, he does make some really good plays for us, and he's getting better at the way they want him to block. I think there's a part that I'm trying to remind myself with all this, and I think I said a little earlier, is like this is year one with all these guys. Like
Yep.
this is year one with Tyler, with not Tyler, with Zach Robinson being an OC. This is year one with Raheem running the ship. This is year one getting used to like what Kirk Cousins likes to throw, and Kirk Cousins getting used to the guys around him. So, yeah, I would have no problem signing it.
Yep.
Especially for 4-year 40, 4-year 42, something like that. Maybe with most of it guaranteed or whatever. If that's how you sweeten the pot by guaranteeing a little bit more or what have you. Uh, but I definitely think he's worth keeping and he's worth having around. He makes for a really good, like, three-headed passing monster in this with Drake and with Darnell and with obviously him. Like those
Yeah,
guys,
he's definitely a guy that you can't ignore.
right?
If you do ignore him, like if you lose him and he gets free, he can really hurt you.
Right.
Like, and you want guys like that on your team,
Exactly.
you know,
Like,
at the right price, right? Depending on what
yeah.
his production is.
Look,
So,
everybody's got the right price, right? Uh, you can't pay everybody. Tyreek Hill's in Miami. You know what I'm saying? Instead of in KC. You can't pay everybody. You got eventually you're gonna have to pay Bijan. You're gonna have to decide whether you keep Tyler, we're eventually gonna have that conversation. Is Tyler Algier worth keeping? Like for the fans, yes, but in the realm of building a team, like stupidly, you just saw the Jet or Giants let Saquon walk, who is jumping over folks backwards.
yep.
So uh yeah,
Let's
there's
see.
gonna be some interesting, questions to be had.
I'm checking something real quick. I just want to see.
Yeah. What you got?
Let's see. Let's see. I wonder if it'll let me break it down.
Break it down for me, Jonathan.
I just want tight ends. That's all I want.
The 49ers
Um,
just signed their cornerback Damon Lenoir to a 5-year, $92 million contract.
woo.
And he's mainly a slot guy. But slot guys are starters nowadays. You got to have them.
Yeah.
Because there's a question whether we should, like, in nickel situations, do we start playing AJ in a slot? Just because, like, you almost have to have an all pro slot corner nowadays.
Yeah. All right. So um if we look at the tops in the league when it comes to tight ends, and we're looking at yardage right now.
Uh-huh.
Number one, Brock Bowers. Um, and I'm not gonna lie, I would have loved to have had him, but it is what it is. George Kittle, Trey McBride in
Yeah,
Arizona.
I like Trey McBride when he was coming out.
Mhm. Then Travis Kelsey. Then number five is Kyle Pitts. So Brock
Right.
Bowers, who everybody's lavishing on him, which is awesome. I love Brock Bowers. I think he's
Well,
a really great tight end.
Brock
I,
Bowers has. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, he's very much more in the George Kittle, but more athletically gifted, I think. But he's much more in the George Kittle frame of a tight end in that he's both good as a blocker, like really good as a blocker, really good as a receiving threat. He's got 57 receptions, which is over it's like 23 more receptions than Kyle. In one less game played, by the way. But his average is only like I say only, but it's only 10.2. Uh, whereas if we look at on average, if we do it based on average, Sam Laporta is number one, Kyle Pitts is two. And if we look at receiving yards a game, Kyle Pitts is like 6. Receiving TDs, Kyle Pitts is kind of in a big group of guys that have 3, with George Kittle at the top at 7. So he's a top 10 tight end in the league right now.
Right. Well, it sounds like he's like really like top 5 in most
Yeah,
categories.
he's arguably top 5. He's objectively top 10.
Right. So the question is top 10 worth keeping? And the answer, yes.
Yeah.
Like a top 10. Because right now in receiving, you have on this team, you have Drake London at 684. Darnell Mooney at 684, Drake London at 649, and Kyle Pitts at 485, and Ray McLeod at 335 yardage. And it's like, okay, why is that a big deal? What's okay? I bet you money, I ain't gonna do it right this minute, but I bet you money you go look at the Raiders. Brock Bowers is probably the only thing they got going over there. And so because I bet you money that Gardner Minshew and AOC or ACO over there, Aiden O'Connell, whatever his name is, don't have 2,648 yards combined. So we're passing more. We're also passing more to a lot more targets. Then you add in, Bijan has 331 yards. So there's just a lot more targets here in Atlanta. Because you remember Kyle Pitts' season where he had such a such a prolific season, pretty much didn't have anybody else to throw to. So 1,000, and for the most part, in most of the years outside of the Tyreek Hill years, who else have they really had to throw to superstar wise up in KC? Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
That was everybody else was to get Travis Kelce in advantageous situations.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I don't expect Pitts to have 1,000 yards. I expect Pitts to be somewhere in the 6 to 800 yard range by it's all time said and done. And touchdown wise, he's already gotten 3 touchdowns. If he gets a few more before the season's over with, say he ends the year with 6 touchdowns and 700 something yards, I think that'd be a real good first season with Kirk Cousins. And I think we would all be happy with that.
And if we're looking at yardage wise with Drake and Mooney, both those Mooney I think is like number 6 in yardage in the league. Drake is number 8.
Yeah,
and they're both like in like top 10, top 15, top 10 for Drake, top 15 for Mooney in touchdowns.
Yeah, I was about to say they're 6 and 5. Mooney's got 14.9 and yards per reception, and Drake's got 11.2 with Kyle Pitts is 14.3. So, I think Pitts is worth keeping. Is he ever going to live up to the number 4 overall pick for a tight end? I don't know. Whatever you define that, unless he turns into Travis Kelce, probably not. But as long as you have other viable options and a quarterback that is willing to spread the ball around, no, you're probably not going to get too many other Travis Kelces. So, anyway, and Nick says, and Bijan is 5th in rushing. Exactly. So we're doing good on offense. We just happen to have we couldn't finish it out this past week. Hopefully they can figure it out and finish it out against the Broncos. Because if we can get on like a scoring run, we can't get into a fist fight, so to speak, with the Broncos. Because I think if we get into a fist fight, we're probably going to lose, or we have a better chance of losing.
Yeah.
The longer the game stays close, it's just like with the Chiefs.
Yep.
You know. So, all right, I think that's going to do it for us. I appreciate y'all hanging out with us tonight. As always, y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grimm1128, GRIMM1128. Jonathan.
At Jonathan M. Holder, come by and say hi.
There you go. We'll be back live next Tuesday to talk about this Broncos game. Hopefully, it'll be a win, and then we'll roll into the bye week where, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, we'll go into the bye 7-4. That would be very nice.
Yes.
All
Then
right,
that
folks.
means all we got to go is 3-3 the rest of the way.
That's it. Love it. All right. Y'all have a great night. I'm going to go kick a puppy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go
Yeah,
kick
don't
a
go
puppy.
kick a puppy.
I'm not going to go kick a puppy. As soon as I said that, I was like, people aren't going to know I'm joking. They actually think I'm joking. Anyway, y'all take it easy. Have a great night. And peace.
Rise up.
Yep, rise up. Oh, catch up. Wrong button. Wrong button.
Outro.
Outro. Hitting it now.